Good morning, everyone. This is Carol Haggerty, your art teacher, and I'm going to do a very quick overview for those of you that have never even opened Photoshop before. And if you have, you can follow along and make sure that you remember everything that I'm covering. You may have a Photoshop shortcut down here in your dock. I do not, so I'm going to go to my Finder window. And when I open that, it already is on the three-column view. I always prefer this three-column view because it gives me lots of information. From here, I'm going to scroll down to see what applications I have. And as you can see, I have lots and lots of Adobe applications. I'm going to scroll down. It's a little bit confusing because I still have Adobe Photoshop CS6, but the one that I want you to open, I don't know if you have that, is the Creative Cloud. We have the Adobe Creative Cloud on all the computers in the lab, and it's the latest and greatest, and I'm really excited that we have it. And this is what I was talking about by all the information. It tells me what this is. It's an application, and it's 1.98 gigs. So I'm going to double click on this to launch Photoshop. And when Photoshop opens, you'll see it's a blank workspace. There's nothing on it yet. There's no paper. So we need to tell Photoshop what we want to make. So I'm going to say File, New, and if you want to pause this and follow along, that's fine. It shows me some of my recent templates that I used, and it gives you all these different defaults up here. I love the addition on the Creative Cloud of this mobile templates, because if you're designing an app, it's got all sorts of different mobile devices here. But for today, we are going to do a print document because in the lab we can print 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to select 8.5 by 11 letter size, and it tells me what it is over here. I could change the dimensions over here into other units, but I'd like to keep it in inches. I'd also like it to be a landscape orientation as opposed to a portrait orientation. The resolution is 300 pixels per inch. For the screen, they say you only need 72, but I like to keep it up because you can always go down, but you can't always go up in resolution. It is RGB color mode, which is the color mode that you would use for a screen. If we were going to print these, we might want to change it to CMYK color. That stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and the key color. But for now, we'll keep it RGB. And I am going to change this to Hamburger because that's what we're going to be doing, because we can build this hamburger layer by layer, and that's a great way to become familiar with layers in Photoshop. So, one last thing. I'm glad I caught myself. Right now my background is white, and I don't want a white background. I don't want anything there, so I want to keep it transparent, and I'm going to say OK. So I've got Hamburger, 8.5 by 11 in the landscape view, 300 pixels per inch, RGB color mode, and transparent. And I'm going to say Create, and bam, there's my piece of paper. It's 11 by 8.5. And I've got all sorts of options up here, as well as a whole palette of options over here. But I don't know where my layers are, so I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to scroll down to Layers, not Layer Comps, just Layers, and it will pop out. There it is. So I can see I have Layer 1, there's nothing on it, and I'm just going to leave that as a blank layer for now. So I'm going to build this hamburger from the bottom up. So I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to double click here so I can name this layer, and I'm going to call it Bottom Bun. So there's my layer, Bottom Bun. It's highlighted so I know I'm on that layer. It's a little confusing right now because I have two transparent layers. I'm going to go over here, and the tool that I want to use is the brush tool. So as you hover over your tools, you'll see that you get a little drop down, and it tells you what it is. Also, if there's a little triangle in the corner, that means there's other tools underneath it. kind of hidden, embedded there. So there's the brush tool, the pencil, color replacement, and mixer brush. Today, all I want to use is this brush tool. Once I select a tool, up top, it gives me the options for that tool. So I can see I've got the brush selected. This is really important. So this drop down here tells me my brush size and also my hardness. I want a hard edge on this. I don't want it feathered. So right now it looks like it is the hard round brush. I thought it would say that when I hovered over it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's the hard round brush. And I can see it's 86 pixels right now. 72 pixels are an inch, but you don't really have to pay much attention to that, because once you click off of it, there you can see the size of your brush. So that's too small for my bottom bun, and it's not the right color for a bun. I'm going to open up my color right here. This is the color that's on top. My bun is going to be somewhere between probably red and orange, and you kind of get a visual here of your color. These are like a little too, I don't know. I'm going to pick a color that I like for the bun. I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to increase the size of my brush. Now there's a couple ways I can do that. I can go over here and increase it, but then I really don't know what I'm going to get until I come back down here. But over by the P on your keyboard, there's a left bracket and a right bracket. The left bracket will make your brush size smaller, and this is for all your tools, and the right bracket will make your brush larger. So I want to make a nice bottom bun for my hamburger. I've got the hard edge, and then I'm not going to draw. I'm just going to click one time. Bam. Oh, for some reason, I must have some kind of opacity on here. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, the flow is 50%. So let me see if I increase that. I don't know why that is. Maybe last time I was working I left it at that. There we go. So now I have my bottom bun, and that's all set. So I'm good. I'm going to make another layer. My layer 2, I'm going to call this the hamburger. And I'm going to come over here. Now I can see I want my hamburger a little bit smaller, so I'm going to go next to the P. I'm going to use the left bracket. Oops. Let me click on that, and I'm going to click on this and make my hamburger a little bit smaller. Well, I need to change the color of my hamburger, and I'm going to try and get a nice medium rare hamburger color. You can pick the color you like, and I'm just going to keep this a hard round, and I'm going to click bam, and there's my hamburger. Now I would like to make some grill marks on my hamburger, so now we're going to get to have some fun. I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to get a softer edge for my brush, and I'm also going to decrease the size, and I want to make some grill marks. So I'm going to make my grill marks a little bit darker, and I'm just going to of course my grill marks are not going to go off the burger. They're going to be parallel to each other, like I did a nice job flipping. So there we go. I have my couple of grill marks on here, and that's great. The next thing I want to put on my burger, I think, is cheese. So I'm going to go back to my hard round. I'm going to pick a nice color for maybe some Swiss cheese. Be careful here, you don't want it to look green. Green cheese would be ugly. And I'm going to, this is a new kind of skill for you. I'm going to take my brush, and I'm going to, I made a mistake. I forgot to make a new layer. So because I've only done one little thing, I can get one, either undo or step backward. You don't get infinite, you only get a few. I'm going to say undo brush tool. It went away. I'm going to add my new layer. I always do this with this demo, and I'm going to call it cheese. Again, this whole lesson is about learning how to use layers. So that was kind of a good mistake for me to make. So now I'm going to draw my cheese, and I want the burger to show a little bit, and I want it to look a little melty, so I'm not really worried about it being a perfect kind of square here. And I get back to the beginning, and I could paint it all in with this, but there's a tool that I'd like to show you over here, and if I hover over this tool, it should tell me what it is. It's the paint bucket tool. So I've got the paint bucket selected, and I've got this color already populated, and if I go over here, I go bam, and it fills in my cheese. But if you notice, it leaves this little kind of ghost of a line there, and I don't like that, so I'm just going to click on that, and it goes away. So now I've got my bun, my hamburger, and my cheese. So I'm still working on my cheese, and I think I do want to make it Swiss cheese, so I'm going to show you one more tool now. So far we've learned the brush and the live paint bucket, and I'm going to get my eraser. And when I hover on it, you can see it's the eraser tool. Again, there's the size of my eraser, and I can use the bracket to make it smaller or larger, and I think I'm just going to punch a couple holes in my Swiss cheese, vary the size a little bit because that's how Swiss cheese is, and I'm good to go. So I think I'm going to end this video now and then come back and show you how to make a few more layers, or if you're good to go, you can go and do that on your own.